All eyes are to the east as Tropical Storm Jerry churns closer to the Leeward Islands, Garfield, and Antigua Barbuda is expected to begin experiencing Jerry's effects tonight as residents are urged to remain vigilant.
Absolutely, Nicola. Tropical Storm Watch is in effect for the mainland Antigua, but that watch has been upgraded to a warning for the sister island of Barbuda to the north. The chances of storm force winds are higher for Barbuda as Jerry passes to the north. Well, comprehensive coverage of Jerry's impacts that are expected this evening as meteorologist Leonard Josiah joins us at the top of our broadcast this evening. Good evening to you. Leonard, really appreciate you joining us as ever. Let's start off with a look at how close is Jerry at this point and what impacts can we expect on each of the two islands?
Well, good evening to you, Gary. Good evening to you, Garfield, and good evening to you, Nicola. So happy that you have joined us, and the news is just getting better and better in the context of the wind forecast, because the winds as of 5 p.m. this afternoon suggest that most of those winds will remain offshore. That's certainly good news. Take a look at the shot behind of me. I can better explain to you exactly what's really happening. I want to first point out to where Antigua and Barbuda is, Garfield. We're looking at Antigua and Barbuda right here, looking at Guadeloupe and Dominica, Saint-Kitts and Anguilla right here. Now, here is the big thing about it. This is a disheveled type of looking storm. It's not the generic type of organization that you would have seen. You're taking a look at this swirl right here, Garfield. This actually is where the center is. As of 5 p.m. this afternoon, raced out from underneath the cloud canopy and is now heading out to sea. It's still, as of 5 o'clock this afternoon, 74 miles just to the east of us, heading out to sea. Before, we were thinking that the center would have dragged a little bit more closer to Barbuda. However, it took that desirable jog to the east this afternoon. So the news is really good in the context of the amount of wind that is forecast. As a matter of fact, most of the winds are out here. Take a look at all this fanning going on here. This is where the winds are. For us right here, we're in the sheltered part of the storm. Hardly any winds to talk about, even calm conditions. So in context of whether or not there's going to be likelihood of wind, we can rest your hearts at ease that we are not forecasting storm force winds on the sustained level. But there are a few gust force to talk about. The rainfall might be even better, Garfield, in the newscast upcoming.
What should residents be doing, though, Leonard? What do we need to do? I know we're not supposed to panic. Preparation is key, but please tell us.
Well, in the context of what we're having right now, we are so happy that many of the residents have heeded the warning in the context of preparedness. I would hope that they are ready to be prepared, ready to go. But in this scenario, we can say that their preparedness is good, but we can rest their hearts at ease in the fact that the storm winds would not necessarily impact them. However, here is something that we are talking about. Take a look. You see this line of clouds right here? This line of clouds, as when I left to the airport just a moment ago, was a line that really has some deep layered convection. This type of rainfall activity in the red zone is enough to drench us with some real potent rainfall. That is what we are looking at. And for what we saw in the past days before, when the convection died in the day and returned in the night, is very likely we can have that same scenario as the center races towards the west to northwest. Then some of this convection can not only burst but drag closer to us. That's the real concern. We're going to be monitoring. A flash flood watch may be desirable or issued later tonight. That is under review for right now. But for right now, this is what we're studying. And we're saying that going on into tonight, going on into tomorrow, depending on what the storm does, if the center drags this way, all of this would head out to sea. So it's an all or nothing game. So if it heads out to sea, this goes with it. But if it drags this way, then this comes closer to us and give us some potent rainfall. So we want residents to make sure that even though the winds are good in the news, we want to stay ready for the rainfall.
All right, ready for the rainfall indeed. So good news on the winds. So we'll be sheltered from most of the winds you're saying, even for Barbuda. And that's the case because earlier today there was the possibility of a 67% likelihood of storm force winds for Barbuda. That, you say, has gone down essentially?
It was even higher. It has come down a little bit. But it's not to say that Barbuda is out of the woods for them. The chances have come down, but they could still get 1 or 2 minutes or so in the context of storm force winds. But we're looking at greater chances that they will be in the gusty conditions, even for us in Antigua, even though the chances have come down. That's the good news. We're not looking at so much of a wind impact, it's the rain impact.
Let's talk about the rain impact. How much are we looking at in terms of the range of rainfall?
Great question, Garfield. And again, it comes down to what this does. I mean, Jerry has done so much of ad hoc things in the past 24 hours. So you can imagine that when we talk about rainfall, I'm putting it in more of the conservative line. Why? Because again, what it is doing, we were forecasting it to drag closer, and these would have come along with it. If this stays out there, then this moves. I'm looking at roughly at about 1 to 4 inches on the conservative line. If this comes through, we can easily be looking between 2 to 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. And that is just the reality of what storm forecasting does. It's here, it's there, it shows up someplace else, and that is what we are going to be monitoring as we go forward into tonight.
A lot to unpack and a lot to look forward to in terms of what happens over the next few hours in terms of Jerry's movements. As you said, rather erratic in the last few hours. Let's see what happens as it unfolds. We look forward to you joining us. We're joining us a bit later on in our broadcast.
And thank you, Leonard, for breaking it down for us.
Great
Absolutely,
stuff.
as ever. That's why we call him the genius here. That's why we are your weather headquarters for accurate and credible updates. Trust us for those when the weather is in news.
Yes,
Trust
indeed.
us for that. In fact,